Oh, this should be really interesting. Today we are watching Man in the Sea, the story of Sealab II. Unfortunately, I could not find the story of Sealab I, so we'll just have to deal with Man in the Sea, the story of Sealab II. And this was published by the U.S. Navy Bureau of Naval Weapons. I am interested for that reason alone, but also publication date 1966. All right, are you guys interested? Because I certainly am. So let's just dive in, right? Let's go.
As are all those minority parts of the planet we call.
Okay, so we just started like in the middle of something, like literally mid-sentence. I don't know the context. I want you guys to know that I know as little as you do right now. Like we're just in some like high-rise courtyard or something. This is a pretty nice view, but where even are we? We must be at like the top of the Empire State Building or something.
From here at Nation's End, see the unending sea as a kind of symbolic road to distant responsibilities, distant friends and enemies.
There's a lot to unpack with that statement. I don't even know if I want to unpack that. Like, I feel like the way we view the ocean is just completely different now. I don't know.
Resources we must have to survive, let alone prosper.
But I get what they're trying to do, right? They're already trying to set up this idea that we're not supposed to live in the sea, or the sea is perceived as this thing that's not where we are. But obviously they're doing that because we're about to learn about the story of Sealab II.
Consider the shore as somewhat more than just a beach, for it is, in fact, a dividing line for the two parts of the earth.
Yeah, a dividing line for the two parts of the earth. Again, they're trying to reiterate that the earth is where we live and the ocean is not where we live, which is, again, just setting up the premise of the story of Sealab II. Mind you, I've never heard of Sealab II, so I don't even really know what I'm talking about, but I'm assuming, based on the name Sealab II, that we're going to be going in the ocean at some point.
The only place in all the universe so divided, for all we know to date. Talk no more of seven seas, but of one sea, indivisible, this single sea that rings the planet, that covers our world from north.
It is funny to think that, like, when the term the seven seas arose, we didn't know that the ocean was one continuous body of water around the planet. You know, we hadn't explored the Earth enough to actually know that for sure. But during this time, wait, what year was this? 66? I guess we hadn't gotten to space yet. I guess we'd sent stuff into space, but we hadn't gotten to the moon yet. So yeah, by this time we probably did know that the ocean was just one body of water. It's funny that like the seven seas connotates a time where the ocean wasn't quite known as well. But I guess that's what this statement is trying to illustrate, that we went from thinking there were seven seas into thinking there was one big ocean. So yeah, that's a pretty good statement right there.
Northern ice to southern ice, the single sea, covering untold empires of mountain and of plain and desert. A home for living things, far more akin to us perhaps than life elsewhere, if any, out in space.
World of living things far more akin to us than anything living in outer space. It's a very interesting statement. They're obviously trying to position exploring the oceans opposite exploring outer space. And it's interesting to know which one of those two kind of won out in terms of public interest. But this is really cool. I'm definitely enjoying getting to see these dolphins. I hope there's a lot more of these dolphins too. I hope these are like the dogs of the Sealab II.
A treasure trove of vital resources, as we are just beginning to know. But one sea, for all its swirls and roars, for all its restlessness, and yet...
What even is that? Is that like a beached whale or something? What is that? Is it just a rock in the sand, I guess?
For all its nearness, a realm unto itself. Float over it, fly over it, move within it, wrapped in your old familiar atmosphere. Enjoy the hobbies, the sports, the diversions of it all.
The hobbies, the sports, the diversions of it all. I like that. I mean, that is pretty much what the beach is to like most Americans. It's just like a diversion or like a little place to spend time.
But before the immensity and the wonder of the sea, before all that it is that we do not know, we have but dipped our toes.
Yeah, so I guess that was a very long-winded way of saying that we still don't quite know everything there is to know about the ocean. But you know what? I guess that's probably the point of Sealab. So let's keep watching. I want to watch until we get to Sealab. Like I don't even want to say anything until I see what this Sealab even is, because I am so excited. If it is what I think it is, this will be like the coolest video ever.
To begin, at long last, to do more, to go further, men have begun to go down.
Whoa, okay, there it is. No way. Oh, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to see. So this is a little metal capsule that's been sunken to the bottom of the sea somewhere, probably off the coast of California, maybe off the coast of Florida. And people are just living inside, or at least that's the assumption based on this shot. This is, oh my God, this is so cool. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to watch the rest of this. I just want to look at this one shot for the rest of the time I'm here, because this is like, oh, it's so cool. I can't even describe how cool this is. Like, this is like the equivalent of having a base on the moon, you know? Like, if ocean exploration and space exploration are kind of like two different forms of outworld exploration, then like the building of a Sealab on the bottom of the ocean floor is equivalent to building a base on the moon. So getting to see this is just like, wow, like we actually did this. Like, this is an actually amazing accomplishment of engineering right here. Before we keep going, I just want to say that, like, I never even knew this was a thing. Like, I am learning for the first time ever that we actually have Sealabs beneath the ocean. I am learning for the first time ever that we actually do, or we did have Sealabs under the ocean. This is like, this is so cool. This is why I started this channel, is to learn about stuff like this that I never knew about, that no one would ever know about if not for watching these old programs where we've preserved this amazing thing for us all to see and watch. It's just, it's so incredible. Let's keep going though. I really want to see more.
To the sea, not to cross it, not to play within it, but to dwell, to live for a while.
Oh yeah, there it is, Sealab. Wow, that's so funny. This is so cool.
Consider, for example, the Bermudan neighborhood of the sea.
Oh, that's Sealab 1. That's funny. That's, oh wait, all right. So maybe there is a program about Sealab 1. I haven't seen any, or I haven't looked for any, but now that I've watched this, it would be cool for us to go back and see if there was a program on Seabase 1, or Sealab 1, because this also looks like it has a whole story around it.
Here in Sealab 1, 4 men lived and worked for 11 days at a depth of 193 feet.
193 feet. All right, so they're not that deep, but it does look like they're just barely getting any light from the surface. So that is still pretty impressive.
But how long can how many men work, live, and survive at how great a depth?
See, what's interesting about this as well is what he just said, like how long can men live in these sorts of conditions? Like that question applies to space travel as well. That's why these two fields are so connected, like ocean exploration and space exploration. Like the technologies that you come up with to explore the oceans are the very same technologies that enable you to explore space, and vice versa. So studying how people fared inside of Sealab is pretty much the exact same as studying how people will fare in a spaceship for 2 years on the way to Mars or whatever. You know, there is a lot of comparison to be made between ocean exploration and space exploration. And it seems like they sort of know that already here.
Without coming, we do not know the limit yet.
We do not know the limits yet, though. Like, that is a perfect quote for, like, this entire channel, really. Like, we do not know the limits yet. Like, that's like, we know the limits now, you know? Like, in my lifetime, as we speak, we know the limits, but they didn't, and they're trying to find the limits. That's what makes this so incredible. I have a feeling this is going to take a very long time for me to watch all the way through. I'm going to have a lot to say, I think.
But now, it is a year later, and men are ready to extend the limits if they can.
Extend the limits. All right, so it's a year later after Sealab 1. So we're getting to see Sealab 2 being installed. This is so cool. The fact that we get to see it before and then during, oh my God, like aren't we so lucky? Aren't we just the luckiest people ever?
Here another enter is in the readying stage. Another exploration into that hostile alien place we call the sea.
Hostile alien place we call a sea. Like, again, like the language for the deep sea is the same language even for deep space. You know, aliens are in deep space the same way aliens are at the bottom of the ocean. Oh, wow, that was all like a cold open? That's hilarious. All right, so the United States Navy presents. Man in the Sea. I guess this was the original title. Or I guess that's like, yeah, that's the title and then the colon, the story of Sealab II. No women. Nuh-uh-uh. We don't want any women in the sea, just man in the sea. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I do have a guess that this will feature only men. The story of Sealab II. Like I'm so excited. Like already, like just based on what I've seen, this is going to be really cool.
Here within the sovereign waters of our America,
Sovereign waters of our America. That's an interesting statement too. But where in America is this? This does not look like Florida. This is probably off the coast of California. That would be my guess. But let's see. Maybe they'll tell us.
the political frontier is but 3 miles from the shore. But the
3 miles from the shore. I guess that's not too far.
But the intellectual frontier is only a few feet below the waves.
That's interesting. But the intellectual frontier is only a few feet below the waves. So there is still stuff to be explored and discovered just a few feet below the surface of the water. I love that sentiment. I love the idea that during this time, there was just a whole world to discover beneath the water. Like, I know there still is to some degree. Obviously, we're still finding new species in the ocean pretty much every day. But back then, it was even more so like that. Like, you could really just find anything and it would be a new species. So it must have been so exciting to partake in marine biology or any sort of marine science at all during this time. Like this, again, this must have been so exciting as a time. Like you have to understand that we explored land far sooner than we explored the oceans. So this really is like the first time we are starting to study the organisms that are below the surface of the water, which again is just so significant in terms of the history of oceanography and everything.
For we know so little about so much of our planet, which is the sea. This unknown empire that begins before our very eyes on every shore. Captain Lewis Melson commanding, along with George Bond.
Dude, look at all these Navy patches, U.S. Navy. I feel like if I knew the importance of all these things, I'd be here forever, but like I don't. So gladly, let's just keep going. But I do want to pay attention to like even this guy's little Navy patch on his shirt. Like there's information in it all.
Also a captain in the United States Navy and a doctor of medicine, now make ready for Sealab II. 1 mile.
Dang, I think it's so funny that this like big military researcher guy, admiral, is just sitting in this chair cross-legged with like short shorts on. Like that is that is the undersea aesthetic. Like men in short shorts is like a beachy aesthetic. I think that's so funny that like, yeah, he's fitting in with the aesthetic of the sea with short shorts on. It's really funny to see somebody in a top like military uniform and then like short shorts, like, and be completely serious at the same time. Like he's not joking. This isn't a costume for him. This is his real life, like that's what makes it even funnier.
1 mile off the shore of La Jolla, California.
La Jolla, California. I feel like I've heard of that place, but does anyone from around La Jolla, have you guys ever heard of Sealab? Like, is this like a big thing for you guys? Because I've never heard about this, but I feel like I should have. So I'm curious if anyone from La Jolla, California has heard about this either.
Captain Mazzoni, commence flooding conning tower. What's our absolute pressure in Sealab?
We're at 44.1 pounds absolute.
As Navy
Dude, what did I say? The short shorts, like that's the sea aesthetic right there. Like this guy's in them too. Like that's what we're dealing with. That is the fashion of Sealab. Like, oh man, like I talk about fashion history all the time, but do we talk about the fashion of the underwater sea labs? No, until today. Short shorts, that's what you wear in Sealab II. That's the fashion there.
divers and riggers prepare to lower Sealab II to the bottom, 205 feet below. The question...
Oh, awesome. Hang on. So this patch, oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. So U.S. Navy, this patch that was on the guy's shirt a second ago, this is actually the logo or the icon for Sealab. So it's U.S. Navy, and then it's got waves, and then it's got a guy's head, and then we have horizontal lines probably signifying, the different depths, the abyssal realm or whatever, and then beneath that we have Sealab. So this is interesting. This is the Sealab, like logo or icon or whatever you want to call it. Like, this is the symbol for Sealab. That's interesting too. I feel like somebody could write a whole essay just on the graphic design behind the Sealab icon, you know? Like, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. Like, it's definitely a retro design, like with the guy's face and the lines. Like, there's a lot of art history in that design that I don't even know enough to go into, but trust me, there's something there.
Becomes, can men go even deeper, stay even longer, and work not only hard, but skillfully too? What indeed are the limits on flesh and blood beneath the waves?
What indeed are the limits of flesh and blood beneath the waves? You know, it's funny to think that, like, somebody probably did take a human body and just sink it as far as possible to see what happened. You know, like, I don't know, I don't want to go too much into the description of this experiment, but I have to imagine somebody did learn the limits of the human body underwater by the hard way.
Never before Sealab I had men lived so long within the sea.
Okay, hang on. So this is Sealab sinking into the water as we watch. This is like watching the first base being built on the moon as we speak. Maybe a bit less impressive, but like still really cool.
Such a depth. But to state a record is to state a challenge. That eternal American question, what next?
That eternal American question, what next? I like that too. Again, we're adding to aspects of the American character by adding that phrase to our lexicon. What next? That's what Americans are always asking. What next? Sealab III, that's probably what's next. I wonder if there was a Sealab III. I don't know.
If man need not return to the surface periodically, taking a long time to decompress those potentially fatal bubbles within his body, he can be infinitely more productive down below.
What's so funny, I feel like I read about something like this. Oh, man. Oh, I made a whole video on Atlas Pro. I made a video about a guy who tried to build an island in the middle of the ocean using electricity, which sounds really crazy, but if you watch the video, it all makes sense. And that's exactly his argument. He said that you never had enough time to study things underwater because you always had to go back up to the surface and then reacclimate to the surface air. And then once you went back down, you had to acclimate to the pressure down there. Whereas if you lived in an underwater container like Sealab, you would actually have way more time to explore the ocean. So it's interesting that I'm hearing this reason being used where I already have learned this reason before in my past. It's just funny how Wolf used that reason to build an island out of electricity, whereas the US Navy used that very same reason to build the Sealab. You know, it's just like the same reason resulted in two different solutions, one that never ended up working and the one that we're watching right here.
But suddenly a Sealab is being lowered.
Command Van, we're losing pressure pretty fast. I would imagine we have a leak here.
That's like the worst thing you could ever hear, isn't it? The pressure's going down pretty fast. I think we have a leak. Like, like that is the Mayday call of Sealab. Like, there is no greater emergency, I have to imagine, than having a leak in Sealab.
We'll have a diver's check for a leak.
And the way he was just like he wasn't nonchalant, but he wasn't like, Mayday, Mayday, like leak, everyone get out, like save yourselves. No, he was just like, looks like we have a leak, you know, like he wasn't even that worried. But that's interesting. I guess if you do have a leak, you could probably go to the outside and look for where bubbles are escaping. I don't know. I guess it depends on how big the leak actually is. Though it is funny that the US military spent probably millions of dollars to build Sealab II and it like instantly had a leak. Like there's something could be said about that as well.
This was an unconventional kind of leak where the helium atmosphere inside the Sealab was being forced by its own pressure to escape.
Where the helium inside its own atmosphere forced it to escape. So there was such high pressure helium. I don't know why they were using helium, but they had helium and it was escaping. Maybe it's just like a non-reactive gas or a noble gas or something that they use for the air down there or something.
Amazonia divers report leaks at all port vents. Are we still losing gas rapidly?
We're losing gas fairly.
Are we still losing gas rapidly? Like, what a nonchalant way to ask that when you're like 100 feet underwater. Are we still rapidly losing gas? I think this is one of their like fuel tanks or something, though. I don't think it's the actual structure of Sealab that's losing air. Based on the imagery that we saw from the outside, it looks like just a tank from the outside is leaking.
I think we could probably stay ahead.
Very well. Diving station, let's continue to lower away. We can't stop. I repeat, we can't stop at...
Let's just keep lowering. We can't stop. We're not gonna stop. There's a leak, but we're not stopping. That's just okay, whatever.
60 foot for check. We're losing gas. We have only 8,000 cubic feet of helium to get to the bottom.
8,000 cubic feet of helium to get to the bottom, and they're losing gas, but they're still going? Like, oh, I need somebody to explain to me why they were using helium, because I don't understand that at all. Maybe it's like the gas goes into their blood and it dissolves a different way and it helps them with the bends or something, but I need an explanation for the helium, because that is a head scratcher for me. Like, it's not oxygen, it's not like anything like that, it's helium, I don't know.
We must continue to lower away.
Became a race. Get Sealab to the bottom right now, where the approximately equal pressures would keep the water out, the vital gases in.
Oh, that's interesting. So the thing was built with the assumption that there would actually be a greater pressure on the outside, keeping the gases in. That is interesting. So it's leaking because it's not under enough pressure. So that's why they're trying to speed up the lowering of it, so that the pressure will come in and hopefully close up that leak. That's interesting. That's a bit of a ballsy gamble to just say that it's leaking, but let's send it all the way and hope that will fix the leak. Yeah, like getting deeper underwater will fix the leak somehow. Like, maybe it will, maybe it'll tighten up the structure of it, but I don't know. Dude, I love just this shot. Just like the hazy Sealab II text on like this very hard to see hull, you know, like that tells you that we are deep underwater at this point.
And so, 205 feet down,
Captain Mazzoni, Sealab on the bottom.
240 feet down, is that what he said? They're on the bottom 240 feet? That seems pretty far, but not that far. I don't know. I mean, that sounds like I'm saying nothing, but like, it's not like the bottom of the ocean. They're still on the continental shelf. I guess that's the important part. They're not on like the abyssal plain. They're just on the continental shelf off the coast of California.
Our pressure is holding at about 102 pounds. Absolute.
Very well.
the personnel transfer capsule, or PTC, goes down first. In case anything goes wrong in the Sealab capsule.
Was that just a bundle of football helmets? That's what they're bringing into the Sealab is football helmets? Again, like, that's a very American thing. I don't think any other country would have done that. Yeah, they're literal football helmets. That's so funny. What are they for? Like, can anyone explain that to me? Maybe this will explain it to me, but like, why are they bringing like 10 football helmets into the Sealab? Like, what? What's the purpose?
In case anything goes wrong in the Sealab capsule, the PTC, kept at the same pressure as the Sealab itself, will be the one refuge for the men. It will also be their elevator for the ride back to the surface when their stay is over.
Dang, that's crazy. You know, I really hope somebody wrote a really good book about all this, because this is like the plot of a book, or I guess maybe a movie too, right? Like, there's this one capsule that does maintain its pressure, even if the rest of Sealab doesn't. And this is like the life raft of Sealab. That's interesting. This is all so very interesting. I'm having a very good time. There's so much to this story. I'm so shocked that this is my first time ever learning about Sealab.
15 days later. 2 other 10-man teams will follow this one, each to remain 15 days, excepting Scott Carpenter, however. The astronaut, who is to become an aquanaut, will remain below 30 consecutive days.
Wow, so that's interesting. So not only are they going to be staying underwater for longer than probably anyone ever had before this, but they're actually taking an astronaut and bringing them down into the Sealab with them and having them stay for twice as long. Again, that's part of the cross-pollination taking place between space exploration and ocean exploration. They even called him an aquanaut after that, right? He's going from being an astronaut to an aquanaut. That's crazy that like this guy is both an astronaut and an aquanaut. Like, wow, like what an accomplished person.
Among the 10 men are a doctor, an engineer, and 2 oceanographers.
Yeah, this is like straight up the setup of a movie, you know? Like this is the start of like Alien or something, you know? Like you could have made, I guess, that's funny that I say Alien, right? Because James Cameron made The Abyss, which is pretty much, that's so funny. Okay, that's the movie that I was thinking about, The Abyss. Like, that is what this is. That's okay. I'm glad I made that connection. Yeah, this is The Abyss pretty much. So somebody did make a movie about this pretty much, and it was James Cameron. It was The Abyss. It's just, it's pretty much Aliens, but in the ocean.
Master Diver Price and Captain Walter Mazzoni, in charge of physiological and atmospheric control, witnessed the departure.
I guess The Abyss is a bit different than Aliens, but it's still like the same idea. It's still like claustrophobic, contained within a space. I don't know.
The first team is to get the Sealab habitat operating, to explore the sea around it, to study marine life and the flow and temperature of the water, and to be in themselves human experiments in the physiology of man as he exists and labors within the sea.
So yeah, they're doing experiments on people to see how they fare living underwater, which is just, I don't know, it's funny that they're admitting to experimenting on humans, which I guess I understand, right? Like there's no way to learn this information without seeing how a human fares. It's just like, it just must have been concerning for the people who were actually going down to be tested on, you know?
Down here, you can pay stiff prices for what would be small mistakes on the land or near the surface. While Wilbur Eaton rigged a lifeline to a Sealab, Commander Scott Carpenter, the team leader, enters through an open interface of water, held at bay by the equal pressures within the capsule.
That's crazy. So this thing is at the bottom of the ocean, but the air pressure is so high inside that water will not come up the bottom. I mean, I guess there's nowhere for the air to go, so I guess it will just equal out the pressure. It's just crazy because like in outer space, you can't do that, right? Like in outer space, you can't do that. You can't have an opening anywhere in your lab out in outer space. But here you actually can open the bottom and just access the water straight up. Like that is a very cool thing to do, I think. That is a very cool difference between exploring the ocean and exploring space. You actually get to interface and interact with the environment that you're in, whereas in space, you literally never get to go outside. Well, I guess sometimes you do, but there's no environment for you to interact with there anyway. But it's cool that like in Sealab, you can just go into the water from your lab, you know?
Diving station, aquanauts, Carpenter and Eaton have entered.
I also think it's really funny that they do use the term aquanauts. You know, like you would think that's a little cheesy or on the nose, but for them, like that's the totally serious term that they're going with.
Sealab II.
Aye, Command Van. The second aquanauts are getting dressed and will be ready in about 5 minutes.
And so, toward the end of August, the 45-day Sealab II experiment begins.
45-day Sealab experiment. So I think some people are staying for 15 days, but I think they're trying to see if people can live or if they can even operate a habitation pod on the bottom of the sea for that long. I wonder what happened with this research, you know, like why did we build Sealab II, but now like we don't have anything like this? I feel sad that this sort of research didn't like continue going exponentially, you know? I feel like we could have had an underwater city by now had we just kept at the same pace of research as we were going all the way back then.
The men go down into an opaque and murky bit of the ocean, far more typical of the ocean as a whole than those crystalline, technicolored deeps off Bermuda. Down they go, accompanied always, never alone. In deep-sea diving, you owe your life, sooner or later, to the buddy system.
You owe your life to the buddy system. I like that. I like to think that like in all of Min's underwater endeavors, they're always the buddy system. You know, like on land, no buddy system. Underwater, always buddy system. I like that concept.
Inside Sealab, you begin your life as an alien to this realm by breathing an atmosphere of 80% helium, 16% nitrogen, and only 4% oxygen.
80% helium. So yeah, they are using helium because it's an inert gas, I think. That's one of the gases that they can put in this pressurized pod and not worry about it catching fire, right? If it was pure hydrogen that they were using, it would probably be pretty explosive. So I think that explains why they're using helium. I don't think it quite explains why they're not just using like nitrogen. Maybe it's something about the pressure or something. I think it's about how helium enters your blood versus how nitrogen enters your blood and bubbles out of your blood. But I think it's very purposeful that they're using helium. And I would like an explanation. I think I understand why, but I would just like for them to tell me why as well.
For ordinary air would be a deadly gas mixture at these pressures of 100 pounds per square inch.
Ordinary air would be a deadly gas mixture? That is interesting. Oh, maybe it's not about nitrogen at all. Maybe it's about carbon dioxide. I think that makes more sense.
7 times those of sea level. It is almost as if you were on another planet, though you are within the territorial waters of the United States. Astronaut Carpenter exchanges greetings with astronaut Gordon Cooper.
Astronaut Gordon Cooper. Hang on. So this is 66. So Gordon Cooper, I guess he could have flown around the moon or like towards the moon, but he definitely didn't land on it.
Orbiting the Earth in Gemini 5.
Gemini 5. Okay. I guess they're telling us what he's from. Dang, that's crazy how they have a stove in Sealab, right? Like, I guess like I keep picturing them in space, and I just think that like you can't have an open flame in like a sealed space like this. But they're not in space; they're in a container underwater. So I guess the rules might be a bit different. I guess this is also not an open flame; it's an induction coil. So I guess maybe that's another difference.
History's first chat between the bottom of the sea and outer space.
Dude, I love how the astronaut and the aquanaut is just chilling in his chair in like this pink like lounge robe. Like he's not even sitting frontwards in his chair. Like he's probably spread eagle for somebody. Like you can probably see up his little robe right now. Like this is just the funniest outfit for an astronaut to be wearing. Like this, what a bizarre scenario that we're seeing an astronaut in right now. Like this man is one of the very few men who's gone to space. Even fewer back when this was recorded. This is probably like one of like 10 men. At max, 10 men have gone to space during this time period, and this is one of them, you know? And he's just in a pink robe, sitting backwards on a chair, you know? It's just, I don't know. There's something really funny about that image.
Good, how you doing, Scott? Good to hear from you down there. I got you, Guido.
I can't understand a thing he's saying. I don't know if you guys can, but I'm not going to make any comments on it.
Imagine now the routine of 45 days beneath the sea, exploring the cold depths where water temperatures range between 48 and 52 degrees.
Oh, 45 days. So that astronaut probably was the guy who was trying to spend like 30 days underwater. So that's interesting.
Setting out lines to the underwater weather station, mapping the sea bottom, even taking a census of the fish, a kind of sample inventory of a future food supply for the proliferating human race.
That's crazy too, how they're already thinking about exploring the deep sea for its food resources. You know, like we already knew that we were running out of space on land to feed everyone, so we were already investigating these other options for food. That's funny how we thought there might be like an untapped reservoir of fish at the bottom of the ocean. You know, like now we understand that most fish chill near the surface, but back then we didn't quite know that because we had never lived underwater beneath the surface before. So it's funny that they're saying things that we now know aren't really the case because they learned that through this. You know, it's just like we're getting to see the process of us learning that information. This is so cool.
This offshore region of the ocean is known as the continental shelf.
They are on the continental shelf. I said that too. That might be a pat on the back. Maybe not yet, but that's definitely, I'm proud of that as well.
Hugs all the continents. an explorable realm 3 times the size of the United States for sea.
An explorable realm 3 times the size of the United States? I'm pretty sure the ocean is bigger than that. I'm pretty sure the ocean is more than 3 times the size of the US. I could be wrong, but I'm like 99, 100% sure.
Which hugs all the continents. An explorable realm 3 times the size of the United States.
Oh, okay, so the continental shelf, the area of continental shelf on the Earth is about 3 times the size of the US. That's interesting. So that is the amount of explorable space in the ocean, I guess. So that is interesting. Seafood and minerals. That is the 2 most important resources of the ocean, right? The seafood and whatever rocks are on the bottom of the sea floor. Again, that's very interesting that already back then they know that they want the minerals on the sea floor. What's funny though is they don't actually know what minerals are on the sea floor. They just suspect that there are going to be lots and lots of minerals, but they don't know which ones yet. They just know that there might be, you know? That's so funny.
A new realm for travel and rest, study and work.
Did you guys hear what he just said? A new realm for travel and rest. They really thought that within the next few years after this, people were going to be traveling and resting in underwater habitations. You know, like that's so bizarre. It's so amazing that they really did believe that that might be happening very soon after this. You know, that really is so interesting.
Today's fantasy turns out to be tomorrow's routine.
Today's fantasies turn out to be tomorrow's routine. That's so funny because this still is a fantasy, even today. Living underwater in a fully habitable underwater space is still a thing of tomorrow.
Often enough. Already, if you take the fisheye view, the interlopers are making themselves at home. What is physiological normalcy at 7 times the pressure of the land, breathing a strange gas mixture day after day?
You know, that is really interesting as a question. They're breathing air that's 7 times more pressurized than the air we breathe normally. And the air they're breathing is a mixture of gases that we usually never breathe ever. Like, we don't breathe helium usually. Like, there is very trace amounts of helium in our atmosphere. So it is a really good question. What happens when humans breathe this gas that we were never meant to breathe for like days on end? That is like, I am curious. What's crazy is that like nothing happens, you know, like we could be breathing a completely other inert gas and nothing bad would happen. I guess that's the point of the gas being inert. It just seems wrong that we're able to breathe like other gases, you know? That seems weird.
Dr. Sonnenberg, medico in residence, attending.
I also think it's really interesting that the fish seem to gather around the window. You have to imagine they're in darkness, right? So there is light coming from inside the Sealab into the darkness of the ocean, and that is what the fish are attracted to, which is interesting. The fish are attracted to light. That would be a very, very fun window to watch and observe. This is where I'd be posted up if I lived here. I would just never take my eyes off of this window. I bet you see some really cool things swimming by as well.
Topside, Captains Bond and Mazzoni decide to have a look-see at their charges 205 feet down.
A look-see. I love how the narrator said have a look-see. You know, like that, I almost missed it, but like that's another antiquated form of language is have a look-see. You know, like people might still say it. It's extra funny like in this context when narrated by like such a serious, like stern military voice. You know, like they're going to have a look-see. It really is a funny choice of words.
Since they will be down only a short time, they will get off easy on the decompressing, stopping every few feet on the way back up in the diving bell. A very cold 73 minutes coming up for the scant 13 minutes they are allowed on the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It takes 73 minutes for you to safely return to the surface after going down underwater. And that only gives you like 13 minutes to explore. So being able to stay down for longer and not need to reacclimate to the surface over and over again just increases the amount of time and the amount of exploration you're able to accomplish. So I do understand the reason behind Sealab and all this. I wish there was more of this, to be honest.
It turns out that Captains Bond and Mazzoni intend to witness the re-enlistment swearing-in ceremony of Aquanaut Kaufman, proving that officers will sink to any depths to hold on to a good man.
I feel like that joke must have been like really funny to a crowd of like military men, you know, like wherever this was being shown, it's made by the US Navy, so like it must have been showed to military men, and I bet that joke really did get a riot out of the guys.
If you are a marine biologist, can you imagine a more ideal aquarium than the sea itself? To which you, too, at least for a while...
Dude, this guy looks like a marine biologist, too. Like, he's got, like, freckles and sunburn. That is what a marine biologist should look like.
belong?
Like a surfer bum, but also intelligent.
The cold, black water was not an attractive medium for work. But in their early forays, the aquanauts managed to install the underwater weather station, a permanent emplacement.
I'm very curious about that, the underwater weather station. Is that for monitoring weather above the surface, or is that for like specifically the weather of the ocean? Because that's a very interesting idea, that like there is weather in the deep sea that is completely unrelated to the weather taking place at the surface. You know, like there might be a wave of salinity entering the water near you or something. I don't really know how deep sea weather works, but I have to imagine salinity is at least one aspect of it.
And so, from the shifting sands of the bottomland, from the force and direction of the internal waves, the sea will yield, in good time and bit by bit, a few of its mysteries.
I like that. The sea will yield bit by bit a few of its mysteries. That really just does help, I don't know, convey how many mysteries there were surrounding the sea and just like how much there was still to learn.
Man, too, has his mysteries, and he submits to frequent...
Dang, Sealab is looking kind of like a gay nightclub here. Like this is so funny that like this is the attire that people would wear inside of Sealab, is nothing but like your tighty whities.
mathematical testing, and even to electrocardiography.
Like, I wonder if it was warm in there. Like, were they hot? Like, they must have been like they must have been really hot if all they're wearing is their underwear.
Both in and out of the water.
Whoa, what are we watching here? This is this is a very weird frame right here.
As a constant check on his heart. The question always, what is normalcy under high pressure and a strange gas mixture? Food, supply...
You know, I'll say it, I am a little disappointed in the music. The music is fine, but I feel like they could have used so much better music. I guess I have to remind myself that this was made by the US Navy, so they didn't really care about the music. But I can picture such a soundtrack of wonder being played right now that is just, this music is not capturing it for me. It's fine, it's just what I'm watching is so mesmerizing that I feel like the music is not living up to it.
Mail and newspapers come to you via United States Navy pressure pot, an exclusive service others may imitate, but never quite duplicate. Happy birthday, Dr. Sonnenberg, but it was your loving wife.
Look at this. This is like, this is a weird shot inside of Sealab. I guess if this is Sealab, then all of these guys are seamen, right? They're seamen. This is a seaman that I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that tracks. These are definitely, if there's any human on Earth that you could call a seaman, it is the people who lived in Sealab II. This is the original seaman.
Wife was responsible, not the United States Navy pressure pot express service. Anyhow, you can't strike a match in a helium atmosphere. There just isn't enough oxygen to make it...
Oh, that's so funny, and that's so interesting. That's like, I don't know, I never really thought about that, but I guess you can't strike a match. That's so funny that they're trying, though, you know? Like, it's just like, I would be so worried about this thing blowing up, even though helium is inert. I don't know, I would be too sketched out to light a match.
Burn. Good place.
But that's really interesting that they just burn out, too. That is like a physical indicator that the atmosphere these guys are in is like completely different than the one we're breathing now.
The smoking habit. Whenever you exit for a look-see, bear in mind the Sealab...
Exit for a look-see. There's the term look-see again. It's just, I love how, like, even the most serious people, like the US Navy, is still using the term have a look-see. That really does tickle me.
Habitat is your compulsory home. Cannot just rise to the surface, emergency or not. Rapid decompression would kill you, and you must take care not to get lost in the dark waters.
Yeah, imagine going out into the pitch black water. Like, that is just so crazy. I know I probably said that a million times in this video, but like, this is just such an other world, you know? Like, that really is what it is. Like, you are no longer in your home environment anymore being down here. And it's so creepy, but so cool at the same time. Like, I would be so curious to explore the seabed around here, but I can also imagine myself, like, kind of freaking out at the idea that I'm just hundreds of feet below the water, just with nothing around me. I don't know. I don't know if I would have been brave enough to do something like this. Like, I like to think so. Like, I like to think that what I'm watching is like super interesting and I would have done it too, but like, get me down there and it's a different story.
Among the hazards of the deep are the scorpion fish. The first aquanaut to be stung by one was Carpenter, who was hit on the right index finger, causing his arm to swell all the way up to the elbow. The pain was sharp and intense, but no matter how serious the wound, even if it were potentially fatal, you do not return to the surface. You are now an inhabitant of the sea until you decompress for 30 hours or more.
That is crazy that, like, once you are underwater, like, you cannot return to the surface under the threat of dying, you know? Like, you are a citizen of the sea at that point. A seaman, I guess.
Under Dr. Bond's topside instructions, Dr. Sonnenberg treated the wound, aided by special drugs stocked right...
Dude, I think it's so funny. Everyone is shirtless in this too. Like, this really is like a man's paradise in a certain way. Or, I don't want to say a paradise, but like a certain type of man's paradise is in Sealab, that's for sure.
in the Sealab. With 3 members of Team 2 already on board...
Like, look at the way all these men are dressed. Like, you're telling me there was no funny business down here, you know? Like, I bet there was some funny business. I don't know. I don't want to put that on any of these guys, but like, it just looks like there's funny business all around.
The first team waits to depart, 15 days after sink down.
But these also do look like the straightest men ever, you know? Like, I guess they're all military men, so there's that. But like, they all do have like the very macho straight man energy. I guess that's why it's so funny that they're all in like short shorts and like tidy whities.
It's farewell to Carpenter, who will remain below another 15 days. The ascent will be a matter of a 54-minute elevator ride in the personnel transfer capsule, after which 31 hours in the deck decompression chamber will return the 9 men to terrestrial status.
Dang, so even to go back to the surface, you need to decompress for like 30 hours or more. So like, are you allowed to sleep? You probably, like, that's the only thing to do if you're just in a metal container for 30 hours, right? Like, that is just like part of the difficulty of managing living underwater.
You keep in touch with Topside by Electrowriter, and Topside keeps an eye on...
Electrowriter? Hang on, pause, hang on. This is why I love watching stuff like this, is for technology I didn't even know existed. So hang on, they are communicating to each other through Electrowriter. So he takes a pen and he writes something on a paper, and this thing figures out what he wrote through some sort of electrical signal and then transfers that signal up to the surface, and then they have another machine that writes out what he wrote in his own handwriting. Like, isn't that amazing? Isn't that like, am I the only one whose mind is blown by that? Like, I know we're in a sea lab under the ocean, but the way that they're communicating with each other is the thing that blows my mind the most. Like, the fact that they have this machine to handwrite their letters to them in the handwriting, that's so incredible. I've never heard of a machine like this. There just seem to be so many easier ways to do this as well. Like, this seems like so needlessly complicated, but I love it. I love how there is like this weird communication technology inside the sea lab. Like, that just makes it even better. Like, this Electrowriter to them must have seemed like the future, right? Like, oh wow, I can write something and somebody 200 feet away from me can see it. Like, wow. But to me, this is just like the least impressive thing ever. It seems needless. It seems like you didn't actually need to come up with that device. I just feel like there's another way to do it. Can't you just have like a hollow tube? Is there something wrong with that suggestion that you just have a hollow tube that you yell through and then they hear it all the way up top? What is the reason you can't just yell through a hollow tube to communicate to these people? I want to know.
You, big brother-like, with its one-way television monitor.
That's crazy too, a one-way television monitor. So people on the surface are monitoring them through cameras and watching them on TVs. That's crazy. So there's like a live television feed from inside the Sealab. That's like another just technological advancement that I'm just surprised by.
While the rest of Team 2 makes its way down what one of them called the longest 200 feet in the world.
Dude, I never get tired of seeing just the glimpses into the daily life of the people living in Sealab. Like, it's so interesting that these guys actually did this and like they had like a community down here and like operations and stuff. This is, I don't know, it's so fascinating.
Carpenter holds quarters with the members of the second team. He who had worked with the most sophisticated technology of our age in the prototypical space program contrasted it with the Man in the Sea program, which he called a newly legitimatized child represented by a nucleus of 50 dedicated men working with mail-order equipment in marginal conditions.
Working with mail order equipment in marginal conditions. I don't quite know what mail order equipment means. Does that just mean that they're using like consumer products in this? Or does that have some other kind of connotation? I don't quite know. Mail order products. What does that even mean in this regard? I've only ever heard of mail order brides. So like, I just don't know what that actually meant.
But it is pioneers like these, members of this new establishment, the descendancy, who are helping this newly legitimatized child grow up. Today's sonar, cupping its listening ear to the sounds of the deep, will give...
Wow, look at this actual sonar dish that they're setting up. Like, that's so funny. Like, it's sonar because they have to set up like a sonar dish. That's just, I don't know. I like that there's true connection there.
way to better, more sensitive, longer range sonar. And the current measurement device is but the progenitor of ocean-wide systems to chart the nature of the waters and the migration of marine life in terms of temperature and current. For all, man is as a child down here. His basic motor skills cannot be taken for granted, nor can he depend much on his five senses in this cold, murky, top-heavy realm of water.
That's fair. He can't depend on his five senses, but I guess he still can see. Well, I guess it's dark, so maybe he can't see. Maybe, but he definitely can't smell, taste, or hear. I guess he could hear a little, but I guess, yeah, you can't really hear that well underwater. So I guess, yeah, you are kind of just starved of all your senses down here. Even footage like this, like I know it's blurry, grainy, and it's not exposed properly, but I think that's what makes this footage even cooler, is that we're actually getting to see like this person 200 feet below the surface of the water. Like that, like I don't even care the quality of the image at that point. But what we're actually seeing, the mise en scene is just incredible right here. It signifies so much technological advancement. Even though this shot is not that impressive, what we are seeing is just like the coolest thing ever.
You develop a certain gladness to be home again. Home, sweet helium breathing, crowded, celibate, teetotal.
That's funny. They actually mentioned that they're celibate. That's funny that they mentioned that they're only celibate once they re-enter Sealab. That kind of implies that once they leave and go exploring, they're not celibate. I don't know. There's an interesting suggestion there that I'm not going to explore now.
Home, with its constant tests and measurements and checks.
That is crazy though, like all these guys have to do tests because we had literally never done this before. So like everyone's experiences here needed to be recorded and observed and analyzed because we really were doing this for the first time ever. That's so incredible.
Relieved now and then by Papa Topside's folk symphony.
Papa Topside's folk symphony. That's such a funny phrase, Papa Topside. Like if humanity did ever enter the ocean in like masses, I wonder if they would have used that term, Papa Topside. Like that's a very funny term. That's very interesting that they came up with it during this time. Like during the first experiment, they already had the phrase Papa Topside. You know, like that tells you something. Dude, I want a shirt with this US Navy Sealab logo on it. Can I find somebody? Can somebody make that shirt for me? Can I sell that as merch for this channel? I feel like that's what I should do. I should just turn the things I see in these videos into my own merch. Like that patch, I would totally rock a patch like that.
How do you like that one?
Oh, it was very beautiful.
The Sealab's own symphony comes complete with the curious sound that breathing helium imparts to the human voice.
You know, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, they're breathing helium this whole time. So do they have like really high voices? I guess they do, right? Like, so all of them are talking to each other. That, I can't believe I didn't even think about that. But yeah, oh my God. We have to address that these guys are not only breathing helium, but it is making their voices higher pitched. I can't believe I didn't even think about that, but that's so funny. Let's listen to this guy sing. Like, did they all sound like this? Like, why did nobody mention that earlier in this film? That all of them sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks because they were breathing literal helium all day long. Like, I can't believe that. That is so funny. Like, oh my God, that's too funny. They all sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks because they were breathing helium. That's the aspect of living underwater that no one anticipated, is the Alvin and the Chipmunks voice. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I just wish I could hear them all talking like this now. Like, I want to see these big butch guys just with the little chipmunk voice. That is, oh my God, I can't get over that. Like, you guys, that's why I watch this stuff, is just to learn facts like that. That is amazing. I really hope that's his actual voice. Like, this is an actual recording of him singing that song as it's done right here, because that is too funny. They all sound like chipmunks down there. I wish we could hear them all speaking to one another.
Into this ocean realm of mountains and canyons, plains and plateaux, who will play the role of St. Bernard dog to aid those in distress?
Dude, this is also super awesome. The fact that we were training dolphins like our dogs of the sea. See, this is what we're missing out on, guys. We could have pet dolphins for our undersea homes if only we had invested a little bit more in this, you know? Like, what we could have had, you know? The world we could have lived in, where I could have put my dolphin on a leash and taken it for a swim. Like, you know, we really are missing out, but these guys are living.
Who learned to come at once to an acoustic signal? Who learned to carry mail and a lifeline to a diver pretending to be lost? Who visited the aquanauts during their bottomland forays? Who but tough...
Dude, I love the idea that we're just best friends with dolphins underwater. Like, that is, oh man, there's something so cool about that.
The porpoise, first of the trained breed who may become man's best friend within the sea.
Yeah, they said it, man's best friend in the sea. It seems like dolphins want that also. Like, dolphins are so cooperative for this sort of stuff that, like, they really do seem like they're just on board to be our best friend as well. Like, they really are just like dogs. That's amazing. It's so funny because dolphins are like sort of the most terrifying animals ever, or at least underwater they are. You know, like they are the most acrobatic or athletic animals in the deep sea like this. So like it's not a given that humans and dolphins just have a good relationship with one another. Like dolphins could be really terrifying, but instead they're just like cuddly puppies. It's so nice. It's such a nice thing that dolphins just ended up being friendly, you know? Like I don't, there's no explanation for it, but it's nice. Like, look how much stuff we strapped to this dolphin and it's not even complaining, you know? Like, it's just down for the ride, you know? Like, I love that about dolphins.
Sunday was normally a day of comparative rest, the day made more meaningful by the Sealab prayer.
Safeguarding care in all the many hours of their life under the sea.
That is interesting that Christianity has been practiced 200 feet below the ocean. Like you should have done your, I think you should have done your praying before you entered the Sealab. That's just me though.
Give unusual wisdom to each of us topside who might somehow control their work and safety as they perform their duties.
I can't believe they are showing us all these guys and we don't get to hear them speak. Like, oh my God, like now that I know what they must sound like, that's all I want to see happen.
Below. When they're working, I will.
But what's also really funny is you can see none of them are talking. No one wants to talk in this environment, and I think at least a little bit of it has to do with how they sound.
Together be done. Grant us all a safe
Oh, they're praying. That's why they're not talking. Okay, it makes a little bit more sense.
respite from our labors for a time to come.
Bro, nice foot shot. Nice foot Bible shot.
We ask all of this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thus did 30 days pass, a methodical and persistent sequence of work inside and outside the habitat, of catch-as-catch-can meals and housekeeping, of human measurement and evaluation under high...
Hang on. What does this little thing say? It says plugs, buddy check, add something. That's funny. There's something written on this board as they're entering. That just seems like very pertinent information for these guys.
pressure. Now the second team makes ready to depart.
Buddy check at Shark Cove. What does that mean? Buddy check at Shark Cove, you know?
Ready to depart. Scott Carpenter.
Dude, or this tank top. If I sold this tank top as merch for this channel, would anyone buy it? It says Sealab on it. Oh, that's like the coolest thing ever. I want a shirt like that. Like, oh, I don't wear tank tops. I don't got the arms for it. But man, if I had that tank top, I'd wear it. Sealab, that's so cool. Oh.
Along with them, after their span of 15 days, his of 30, into the personnel transfer capsule. And as medical wisdom has it, 33 hours of decompression on the support vessel in the deck decompression chamber. Decompression is the cross the divers bear.
Yeah, so they have to spend 33 hours apparently in this decompression chamber. That's wild. What do you even do for that long?
Meanwhile, the third team of 10 men prepares to depart for inner space.
Depart for inner space. I like that. Not outer space, inner space.
Led by Master Diver Robert Sheets, at 50, the oldest of the aquanauts. It's getting to be a kind of routine, the almost inevitable destiny of things that seem fantastic at their very outset, whether it be a flight across the ocean or even a man in orbit. To make the far out an everyday affair is, after all, the prime purpose of all our technology. While he decompresses, Commander Carpenter has a phone chat.
Oh, you know, I guess that's what you do when you decompress. You just get on the phone and you talk to people. That's it's funny that I didn't even think about that.
Still in his helium voice, with his commander-in-chief.
His helium voice? Yes, we're going to get more helium voice, please.
Scott, do you read me all right?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
No way! Did they really all sound like this? The whole time they were undersea, they all sounded like this? That is insane. I wish we had more of that. Like, I just need a conversation of all the guys in Sealab talking to one another about super serious science stuff, but with this voice. Like, does no one laugh at each other? Oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I can't get over it. Like, I want to spend as much time as we have on this video just appreciating their voice here.
Scott, I'm mighty glad to hear from you. You've convinced me and all the nation that whether you're going up or down, you have the courage and the skill to do a fine job.
Well, thank you very much. There were a lot of
I'm sorry, I love the image that, like, this is the president or, like, the general of the army talking to him, and he's just responding in his Daffy Duck voice. It's just, like, it really is hilarious.
people who demonstrated the same kind of courage that wrote.
Like, how do you take someone seriously when they sound like this, right? Like, how do you not feel like they're making fun of you? Like, this is just, it's too funny.
Crew out here, and we're all very honored and pleased that you saw fit to call us and let us know that you were interested in what we're doing.
And just like, it's so funny, like all the other guys around him, like totally serious as well. Like, even though his voice is so funny, that's just, I don't know, that's the funniest thing. I'm so glad I learned that.
Then comes that happy moment when you become, except for your memories, like other men again.
Dang, and this guy's just stepping out of it in his pink robe. That's, again, so funny, like, what these guys are wearing. Like, he probably just flashed his cock and balls to everyone out here, right? Or maybe he's wearing underwear, but it's like, why are you wearing a robe, you know? Why are you wearing, like, my mother's bathrobe?
Breathing the natural atmosphere of Mother Earth.
You know, it is kind of sad that like these guys were doing some really incredible research, but they weren't being received the same way astronauts were being received. You know, like astronauts became like instant like nationwide heroes, but these guys are just nobodies still. No offense to them, it's not that they are nobodies, it's just like they never received notoriety at the same scale as astronauts did.
While down below, Dr. Sonnenberg, who has returned for a second 15-day stint, wrestles with that electrically heated diving suit that will permit 3-hour journeys away from Sealab in comparative comfort.
Electrically heated diving suit. That's interesting. Again, there are so many technological advancements that need to take place in order to enable humans to do what we want to do. And I guess that's just another one that I didn't really think of. But yeah, I guess it's probably freezing down there. So you probably can't even spend that much time swimming around, even if you wanted to, unless you have a heated suit. That's another interesting detail that I was failing to take into account.
The prime objective of the third team was to try new underwater salvage techniques.
New underwater salvage techniques. That's pretty interesting that like their top priority is figuring out how to take like crashed boats or planes and salvage them. That's funny. I want to know like the reason behind that.
Using a special foam, they raised barrels and an aircraft hulk from the bottom. With special torque-free tools, working on the explosive principle, they attached plates and lifting surfaces to part of a submarine hull.
Oh, so a sunken submarine. That's interesting. So they're trying to figure out how to float a submarine that might have sank. That's interesting. That does make a little bit more sense, though, because maybe there's like a crew of people trapped on a submarine, you know? Like, that makes more sense.
Older tools like the spear and the fishhook can be very useful, too. You may not like sashimi, that Japanese delicacy.
That Japanese delicacy, just like the way he said that, I don't know, I kind of got a weird vibe from that Japanese delicacy.
Roughly translated as raw fish, but frying is verboten down here. Hydrocarbon smoke doesn't mix well with helium in a delicate man-made atmosphere.
So they just eat fish raw, is that what they say? You know, I guess if you catch a fish from like 200 feet below the surface, that fish is probably going to be pretty fine to eat. Actually, I don't know. Off the coast of California, I made this whole video about stuff that we dumped off our coastline, and there is a whole bunch of chemical weapons right off the coast of California. So, I don't know, questionable. But maybe we hadn't actually dumped all that stuff yet, so I don't know.
This team and Team 2 made excursion dives to the rim of the underwater canyon 266 feet below the surface. Master Diver Sheets, however, went with another man to the 300-foot mark, followed thereafter by other members of the team. Afterward, they dined on plankton, that floating microscopic life of the sea, saying it tasted like nuts.
Huh, so they were actually eating plankton? Is that real or was that a joke that he just said? They were actually eating the plankton and he said it tasted like nuts? Interesting. How do you eat plankton though? Isn't it like microscopic? Like, do you collect it?
But always, you dive with another man not far away. The brief history of deep diving has proved time after time that the best of divers needs help desperately sooner or later.
I like how the inclusion of the phrase desperately. Like, any time that you need help and you're diving 200 feet underwater, you desperately need help. Like, there is no only sort of needing help. Like, there is only desperately needing help when you're in this sort of environment.
Equipment can fail, and men can go astray in this pathless world.
Yeah, I can imagine getting lost must be like super easy down here because there are no landmarks whatsoever for you to base your direction on. So I can imagine like swimming even 1 minute in one direction, I probably wouldn't be able to find my way back. You know what is interesting to think about? I know this might not be related to, but like what if we set up like streetlights underwater? You know, like if we actually had like an illuminated path underwater. I feel like the more we settled the ocean floor, like this is supposing we did, the more we would get stuff like that. Like there would be an entirely like illuminated ocean floor somewhere for people to go outside and like actually spend time doing stuff. I think that's interesting.
In the murk of the seafloor, you see a hint of the future. Mining by bottom coring, a miniaturized...
Wow, that is interesting. This is a very early glimpse at deep sea mining right here. I am actually impressed that we were doing pretty much exactly what we're doing now back then.
sample of what one day may be gigantic machines gathering minerals from the bottomland.
Wow, that's just like we are literally seeing, yeah, science advance as we speak. Like this is us learning how to mine minerals on the ocean floor.
Work to be done, where existence alone is a kind of triumph. Where the aquanauts discovered you could make brief dives 100 feet lower than Sealab and return to it without decompressing.
Huh, that's interesting. That's a pretty big risk that they just went on a dive on the assumption or the hope that they wouldn't have to decompress. Because if they did and they were even deeper than Sealab, like I don't know how they would have had enough oxygen or time to decompress properly to re-enter Sealab. You know, like that is just a very risky move to be making when you don't actually know what will happen.
This in itself is a bonus from nature.
But again, I guess that is the benefit of having a sea lab, is that you don't have to decompress to go exploring the ocean every time. You know, like that is the purpose that everyone is here for, is to enable longer stays on the ocean floor.
45 days have passed since the first 10 men came to live here, and now the time has come for anchors away, for men and hardware too. And the last swim toward the PTC elevator for the men of Sealab II.
Hang on, so they're packing up. Did they leave Sealab or did they take it up with them? I'm curious if Sealab is still there. I would love to actually go to California and go dive to see Sealab. I wonder if that's something that people would ever do.
Command van, the Aquanauts report the lower hatch has been shut and dogged. They are standing by ready to come up.
Very well. Train operator, this is Command Van. PTC is ready for liftoff. Lift away.
It's funny that we were using the term liftoff for other things. Just in my head, liftoff is specifically when a rocket ship takes off. That's liftoff. But I guess, you know, rockets and space exploration were related back. So liftoff in this sense is when your depressurization chamber lifts off. You know, that's a funny parallel use of that term.
A crucial moment as the personnel transfer capsule breaks water. It contains 10 men still under sea bottom pressure, who must decompress slowly or die.
There are just 10 men in here whose blood has absorbed gases at a pressure that will just kill them instantly if they are exposed to the atmosphere. That is just like a kind of a wild thought. Like there are 10 guys in this pressure cooker who are going to be reverse pressure cooked into the atmosphere. Like, isn't that crazy? And look at how like wobbly it is on the crane. Like there's men in there just being like thrown around.
A faulty valve, a leak, a single mistake of the many that are possible could turn the capsule into a coffin. As it is, the ancient art of rigging is not the least of the skills you need in this particular kind of oceanography. The mating of the personnel transfer capsule with the deck decompression chamber. Now begins the long wait. Decompression from 100 pounds per square inch to 14 7/10 pounds per square inch. From 205 feet below to sea level. But at the 28-foot mark, almost home, trouble, bad trouble.
Okay, Bob, we got the report on your possible hit. Would you like to give me a rundown on it, please?
Yes, Captain. I have a pretty deep-seated pain in my right leg. It started about an hour ago.
Got a deep-seated pain in his right leg, started about an hour ago. That's interesting. It's funny that he didn't tell anyone. until just now, I guess.
Started at the right knee and has now progressed up to my hip. And pain is increasing in intensity. I thought I'd better report to as soon as possible.
You know, he doesn't sound like a chipmunk in this, but maybe they're using air or regular air now because they're above the ocean. I don't know.
Okay, wait one. Let me check here, Ralph. I think we better hold at 26 feet.
Oh, I didn't realize that, but on the Sealab logo, the little block with the guy's face is also an arrow pointing down. I just noticed that on this guy's shirt. That's a good little detail right there. Sealab though, oh man, I want a shirt like that so bad.
Put 9 people into the outer lock, bring them up, run the corpsman in, and have the inner lock brought on down to 60 feet and try Bob on the oxygen treatment table and see how it goes there.
I'm so glad I got to watch this guy just talk to another guy for like a few minutes straight. Like, I know it's important what they're relaying to one another, but I feel like we didn't need this full shot of the full conversation that they had between each other.
And so, from the outer lock in a quiet, tired moment, after the requisite 35 hours, 9 men emerged from decompression.
Dude, I love how the guy helping them out is helping them with one hand and smoking a cigarette with the other. That's just another Americanism during this era. You know, I do appreciate this shot. I know a second ago I just said I didn't appreciate the shot where we got to see everything, but seeing every single one of these aquanauts come out of this pod actually is a really good shot. First off, it confirms for us that there really were 10 guys in there, and it just lets us see the state that these men are in after having spent 15 or 30 days underwater. So I do appreciate this shot. I do appreciate the editing and the fact that we held on this shot, even though the narrator's not saying anything. I do think the information that we're getting from this shot alone is valuable. I do also love the shot of just the guy smoking the cigarette. Like I said a second ago, very American of them in this era of history to be smoking cigarettes all the time. Literally the second shot within like 5 seconds of the same guy smoking a cigarette. I'm glad that I mentioned it the first time because I didn't know that we were gonna get all those other shots afterwards.
It was not until more than 12 hours later that Bob Sheets emerged, free of pain and in good shape. Even the home away from home, a shell empty of men.
Oh, it looks like they did bring it back up. That's interesting. So I wonder if Sealab is like in a museum or something now. Like I want to see the actual Sealab. Like where is that?
Is once more upon the surface, floatable elsewhere for another chapter in this ongoing adventure of
to go elsewhere. See, that's interesting too. Like you bring it up and then you sail to another part of the ocean and you lower it again. That's like a really cool idea.
Man within the sea. Perhaps we shall see her again. A Sealab III.
Oh, a Sealab 3. See, didn't I ask that at the very beginning? Was there ever a Sealab 3? So I guess that brings us back to that question, right? Was there ever any more research in this direction? I have to imagine there was, but I don't know if there was a Sealab 3. I really hope there was. I'm going to look for it after this program, but I don't know if there was. I'm super curious about it now. I really hope there's like a whole bunch of these programs that I can watch because I would.
The commendations of today, the just pride for work well done, set the stage for the eternal question of all adventure. Where do we go from here? Perhaps we will routinely send men to 800 feet soon.
Perhaps we will routinely send men 800 feet down. See, that's funny that like we didn't quite know what we even needed to be doing. Like we just thought maybe we will need to put people underwater. You know, like it's just, you can tell that we don't quite know the application of this research yet.
To 1,700 and more feet within some years. To live, to work.
To 700 and more feet in some years. All right, so they're trying to push the limit of how deep they can build their habitations and still have them intact. That's interesting. It's interesting that they are thinking about just moving deeper and deeper. Like that's the direction of advancement for this form of exploration. It's just the deeper you can get, the more you can explore. That is interesting.
To study.
Dude, this is a sick shot right here. This is probably like the final shot because this is like a cool shot. Oh no, I guess we're getting several shots of an underwater submarine. An underwater submarine, brilliant.
A new world. Man looks to distant planets to plant his flag across the great bourne of lonely space, while at his very doorstep, an unmeasured universe abides.
Yeah, that's pretty much the argument between exploring space and exploring the oceans, is that like some people want to plant their flags on planets, but right here on our own home, like there is a whole alien world that we still haven't explored. So I definitely understand why these people were doing what they were doing. Oh, and that's the end. All right, awesome. So this was directed by John J. Hennessy. Let's go through the credits and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts. This was written by Don Freifeld, so I guess we have him to thank for all the look-sees, and edited by Ronald S. Sexton. Photographed by the U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet Mobile Photo Group. That's a really funny like regiment of the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet Mobile Photo Group. You know, like a very specific group dedicated to photography. That's just that's another interesting aspect of this all. Like when I was saying, oh, this is a good shot or whatever, like I guess photo props to the U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet Mobile Photo Group. Oh, actually, no. Hang on a second. So, ocean bottom photography by the Aquanauts J.D. Skidmore, John Reeves, William Bunton, and Underwater Ordnance Department knots. Interesting. So I guess some of those shots actually were by these guys and not the U.S. Navy. Well, I guess these guys were probably in the U.S. Navy. At least two of them were USN, right? So I guess this was all from the U.S. Navy. But yeah, shout out specifically to J. Skidmore, John Reeves, and William Bunton for all that photography. And I love seeing the word Aquanauts in text, like in physical letters, you know, like I feel like I've heard that, but like it's very rare that you actually see Aquanaut given text in something like this. And when you see it written out, it actually feels like a real thing. Like to me, an aquanaut is kind of a joke, right? An aquanaut is not really comparable to an astronaut, like at least to me. Like an aquanaut is not comparable to an astronaut, at least to me. Going into space is like 10 times crazier than going into the ocean. But here we can see that aquanauts was actually considered like a real term that people used and a respected term as well. So this is before the time that astronauts became like the big explorers, and there was room for other sorts of explorers like aquanauts. That's more interesting information. Huh, interesting. So this was called Sea Power for Security. That's interesting. I guess that's probably like the series that this was made for, but that also gives us even more information on why this was being made, right? Sea Power for Security. So we weren't just doing this for fun or even for science. We were doing it for security. That was the bottom line of this mission, was to figure all this stuff out to improve our ability for security. And if you understand this time at all, you'll understand that we were scared of the USSR at this time. So this was really about figuring out how to militarize or how to not militarize the deep sea. It's just that's a very interesting lens to be putting on this whole thing at the very end. But yeah, there's the end. That's That's the total end, right? None of this scrap footage? Yeah, all right, that was the end. That was absolutely fascinating. I think I was fully engrossed with this for the entirety of it. I have no idea how long I've been speaking, but boy, have I been having a good time, because this was just so interesting. Like, I don't even have any final thoughts, because I don't want there to be final thoughts. I want this sort of stuff to be continuing and to be actively progressing right now in this day and age, you know? Like, I am just so sad that I got to witness like something that might have become bigger and it didn't, you know? Like, I'm sad that like there aren't more sea labs. I'm sad like we didn't actually explore the ocean as much as we thought we would be back then, you know? It's just, oh, it's such a shame. But this was just such a cool watch. I am so happy with this. This is definitely like one of my favorite blues for sure. It might be one of my favorite all-time watches too. I gotta keep track of that sort of stuff, because this really was like, it's just something that is so cool. I hate describing this as just really cool, but like, that's what it is to me. Like, this is just the coolest thing ever. Like, I have no other vocabulary to describe this other than cool. So that's what I'll go with. But I think I pretty much touched on everything. Like, I really spent my time and I really said everything when I really felt like I should. So I think those are all my final thoughts. If you enjoyed watching and would like to help support me and this channel, you can go to the link in the description that'll take you over to the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is where I get all these old programs from. So if you want to support me, donate to them. And with that, I think we are ready to cut to black.